Our Bible reading this week is in Acts chapter 21. And if we were going to overview all of this, I think it's pretty simple. It's travels and troubles.
Yep.
So, easy way to think about the chapter. You have a period at the beginning where Paul is on the move,
Yeah.
and he's headed to and going to ultimately arrive back in Jerusalem,
Right.
which I know taps your connection back to Jesus, right? In the
Well,
way
yeah.
the way Acts sort of works again the Jesus story.
Right. Different stories over the course of Acts have been the apostles revisiting Jesus's life and experiences, in some contexts working miracles for the same types of people, what have you. But Paul now represents Jesus on this last trip to Jerusalem, where he's at great risk. The Spirit doesn't say he's going to die, but the Spirit makes clear he's going to suffer, he's going to be bound. And sure enough, that's what we're going to see, not just here, but over the next several chapters. And we see in this as well Paul's determination to get to Jerusalem and deliver that Gentile financial gift.
Now, all along the way, as he's going, he's getting these warnings.
Right.
When you get to Jerusalem, it isn't going to be good for you. There's
Right.
going to be trouble, which raises the question: if trouble awaits him there and he's getting these warnings, why does he keep going? I think some people be wondering why he didn't say, okay, I better go do something else, because the warnings were told come through the Holy Spirit.
Right.
You're in trouble if you go there.
Right. And I think it's one of those, it was, maybe perhaps just prophesying that he will suffer and showing Paul's willingness to suffer for the sake of the gospel, rather than saying he couldn't go or shouldn't go. Because Paul...
That wasn't the message of the Spirit. The Spirit wasn't saying don't go.
Correct.
But when you do, this is what's going to
Right.
happen.
And so it's almost like, again, when you think about Jesus knowing he will die in Jerusalem, and in the Gospels, literally, one Gospel says that he set his face to go. Paul knows that this is part of the mission that he has been tasked to complete, to bring this gift of the Gentiles to the Christians there, and then to testify to Jesus in Jerusalem, of places. It's ironic. I mean, Paul's doing exactly the opposite of what the first apostles did. They started in Jerusalem and then went out from there. Paul's going from the Gentile world and now coming to Jerusalem, as in a sense, his as far as the book of Acts tells us, his final free testimony as a man.
So once he's there, you kind of have two things that happen.
Right.
You have this plan that the elders cook up
The Jerusalem elders.
The Jerusalem elders cook up to help him sort of ease the minds of the Jews in Jerusalem.
Right.
They've been saying these things about you, so go with these men who are under vow and pay their fee, and that'll kind of soothe everything over with you. But that doesn't work.
No, it actually, ironically, people from Ephesus see him and think that he's brought Gentiles in the temple, which he hadn't. But
it's storytelling at its best, right? You see something, you already have a predetermined opinion about them, and so you fill in the gaps with your story.
It's the danger of gossip and slander, David.
There's a great storytelling
There is.
point
You see something, you assume the worst, you say something that's not true, and literally chaos is the result.
It just absolutely blows up in their face. Of
Absolutely.
course, I do wonder about the plan in the first place. Jeff and I have been talking about this all week, whether this plan was the right plan, or I've entertained the possibility that this whole thing they cook up to sort of soothe over the Jews by having them participate with these men in their vow was a bad plan. They just shouldn't have done that. It didn't work. Whether it's good or bad plan, it didn't work, and he winds up being seized. Which actually, I think that part here at the end of chapter 20 is really important, because it defines the rest of the Acts story.
Well, that's right. Now we are on the story arc that's going to take Paul all the way to Rome in chapter 28. He's going to spend the rest of the book a prisoner, literally, and again, part of the power of testifying to higher and higher levels of governmental power that Jesus is Lord. And so we literally will go from the Jewish rulers and the centurion there in Jerusalem to Felix and the Festus, who were the guys who kind of held Pilate's job. By that point, Roman representatives in Palestine, to eventually, by chapter 20, he's in Rome itself waiting to testify to the emperor. He's appealed to the emperor himself of Rome.
So all that pivots right here.
Right here.
At the end of chapter 21. So the story
right.
changes dramatically. So keep all that in mind as you read through Acts 21 this week.